My daughter and I were having some political discussions tonight. Hopefully you guys can see me. My daughter and I are having some political discussions tonight, and I'm also screen recording at the same time so I can post it later on other social media outlets. So hopefully you guys can see me because I'm sitting on the side so you can also see my daughter. I know it's nighttime and she's wearing shades because her head was hurting. So ignore the shades. Okay, so what was something we were talking about? What were you saying that I told you do not forget?
Oh, what were you talking about?
Okay, so we were talking about, I asked my daughter, we talk about controversial.
Oh, you said what's wrong with black people?
Yes, we talk about controversial topics, and we talk about politics in our home. We talk about controversial topics. Hello, Marissa. We talk about controversial topics and politics in our home, and I just want to get some insight because I've been feeling so frustrated lately with all the stuff that's going on. And I was telling my daughter that all the stuff that's going on, we were talking about President Trump, we were talking about him wanting to put up the wall to block the borders and stuff like that. And my daughter was telling me, I was talking to my daughter, and I was telling her what is wrong. Hey, Natalia. We're talking about politics, and we're talking about our people, minority people. And I asked my daughter, what is wrong with us as black people? What is wrong with us? Because I was telling my daughter before, and these are controversial topics, and we want to hear what you guys say about this, because a lot of times the church is silent. People who profess Christians are silent and they don't get into things, and we can make a huge difference in this world, not only as Christians, but if everyone worked together, Christians and non-Christians, for a common goal. And I asked her, what is wrong with us as black? I said black because I'm a black person. What is wrong with us working together? And I'm going to tell you what I told her, but first I want her to start with what she was saying.
You can't start with what I was saying because I was going off of what you were saying.
Okay, she want me to start first. Well, I was telling her that with all the stuff that's going on, we as black people can take a lot of stuff in, can attain a lot of assets. I'm talking about the rich ones and the poor ones who are looking for long-term gold and a large return on their investments. And I was telling her that the Chinese people do it. I was telling her how frustrated I was when I saw a video clip of a lot of Chinese people saying that they wanted to help the Africans in Africa. And they went into Africa to purchase all their lands because they know how to cultivate the land. And from the videos I've seen on China, in a lot of areas that was hard to cultivate, they've been able to actually cultivate the land. And I told my daughter, and my sister was in the discussion also, but my sister went to sleep because it's late. I told my daughter that if a Chinese person or whoever went over, the Chinese people went over to Africa, and I'm getting somewhere with this. they went over to Africa, and they are so altruistic that they want to help the African people cultivate the land. They would show the African people in exchange for something that's not their land. In exchange for, I don't know, maybe they want to experience some of the culture there. Maybe they want to visit some areas and the people could take them around in buses, and in exchange they can help show the people, and it doesn't have to be a large number of people. They could show a small amount of people how to properly cultivate the land. Spend at least 1 year so you can go through all of the seasons to cultivate the land, show the people, let them get an idea how to cultivate it if they're having problems cultivating the land. And then when the people cultivate the land, purchase the items from the African people from on the land that they already own, so you can bring money in to the African nation. Even though Africa has a lot of wealth, and due to a lot of corruption that's going on, because I saw it in the video, a lot of the Chinese people went in, and I'm not attacking Chinese because I have something against Chinese people. I'm talking about Chinese because the video I saw had Chinese people in it, going to Africa. So they went to the politicians over properties, and they told the politicians, we know how to cultivate your land and bring wealth in. So what they did was they go to African politicians to purchase property. But the problem is a lot of the properties are owned by African families that's been passed down from generation to generation. And what the African people do, because the families do not want to sell their land, is have other African people ambush the people who are the head of the tribe or whatever what do you call it? I'll say tribe. Cause right now my brain gone blank on what the other word that's used for it. To go and kill the person that's the head over it until they find someone in the family that will sell the land for really cheap, that will not sustain the family for an extended period of time. Then the politician sell it to the Chinese. The Chinese have the same people that own the land to work for them for next to nothing, might I add. So they cannot even afford to eat the same food that they're cultivating. And then you're just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I told her, I asked my daughter, I said, we're talking about politics, and we're talking about us as black people. We're talking about politics and us. They can still see you. The camera see her. They're talking about politics, and I'm talking about us as black people. And I asked my daughter, I said, do you know how the Asian, I'm switching it to Asian in America, because that's the Korean, the Chinese, the Japanese, Asian, just Asian on the whole. I asked her, do you know how the Asian people, the Arab people, and the Jewish people get to purchase such large items? And the Arab is in, have all of those corner stores, especially in Miami, Florida. They have all of those corner stores, and you don't see in a black neighborhood the black people actually own the stores in there. You don't see a lot of them. You see a couple, not a lot. I said because they pool their money together. These people, I'm going to go back to Asian, these Asian people would have all their friends, their family, pool money together to purchase a store, to purchase a property, to build a store, to bring money in. They will pool that money together. Jewish people pool money together. Arab, if you don't have it, you pool money together. Because if you want to attain something, you might have the business savvy and someone else has the money. Everyone could come out ahead if you pool together. And I said, what is wrong with us? Why can't we as black people pool money together? What is wrong with black people? And I'm talking about a controversial topic, so I'm letting you guys know right now. What is wrong with us in pooling money together? And I was explaining to her, we had a whole hour, an hour and a half discussion before we came on there. But I told her, hold up. We have to have this discussion. We have to have this discussion online so it's recorded and I can share it to other social media platforms. I was telling her, can you imagine, because I know the power of people working together, because I've experienced the detriment firsthand of people not working together. Firsthand, I've experienced it. And now God has blessed me to experience when people are working together. So I know the difference firsthand. I'm literally in the middle of it, so I know what I'm talking about. And I've been studying housing and everything for over 10 years. But I told her, can you imagine if I, as a black person, because I'm talking about this because we're in the Black Lives Matter movement. Can you imagine I as a black person, my daughter as another black person, my sister as another black person, her daughter as another black person, my niece's child as another black person. So it's 5 black people together, right?
Your father.
Oh, yeah. And my dad as another black person. 6 black people together. I said, can you imagine? Listen, I told my daughter, me as a black person doing this Black Lives Matter movement, if you want to be able to have pull, you have to know how to go about it. You have to be smart. Not only in changing laws, but implementing some strategies in the back. So we have 6 black people right now at this point in my family here. Can you imagine if my daughter, if we want to purchase property and build a condo, a 30-store condo building for people to live in. And let's say the condo, just to be on the cheaper side so we can follow what's going on here, let's say the condo will be $10 billion. Can you imagine if my daughter here, she's an adult, and we pretend that everybody are adults. Can you imagine if 6 people come together and a poor person could get in on this? That's the thing. Because people think the only serve the rich black people. No. Because I've been studying this for years. Not only have I been studying this, but I've been fasting. I've prayed about it. I've seeked God about it. I'm not just coming out of with solutions that not from here. Okay? So if I have $1, let's be generous. Let's say I have $100. And we're trying to purchase this property and build this condo. Because we're going to bring money in so we can have a domino effect in the economy to purchase more and more things with the profit that we're going to get from the 30-story condominium. My daughter has, let's say she has $5 million. My sister, remember I only have $100. My sister has.
You don't need to list everybody. Let's go.
Let's say. I don't want me to list the amount that each person has. But let's say each person has a different amount of money come together that comes into that $10 billion for this 30-story condominium. Excuse me. And I only put in $100. I told my daughter the problem that I've noticed from experience is if my sister put in and she has, let's say she has $6 billion to put in because she's been lucrative in other areas. She has $6 billion to invest and she likes this vision that we have. What I found is people would be upset because I only put in $100 when they only get a return on what they put in. And I recognize that. So I said, this is what needs to be done, because poor people and rich people, if we have a common goal, could come together and shake things up. If my sister has whatever percentage that she has of the total cost of the condo is what her return on the profits is. So let me break it down like this. Let's say you have all of the units in a 30-story condo rented out. You purchased the land, you built it, it's done, people moved in, all 30 stories is rented out. You have it rented out to black people, you have it rented out to Hispanic, you have it rented out to Caucasian, you have it rented out to all different diverse amounts of people. I need some rest. Every time I start talking, my throat gets dry for some reason. So, I only put in $100. So whatever $100 is on the total cost, which is $10 billion, whatever $100 is on the total cost of this real estate, whatever that percentage is, that's the return on my investment from the profits that come from it. So the person, of course, that puts in the most money gets the most return on their investment because they have more skin in the game. And I said, even though I put in 100 and my 100 is as much skin in the game as a person that puts in 6 billion, because that person put in 6 billion because they have a lot more money left. Me as a poor person that only has 100, even if I have to eat, I don't know, rice for the next 2 weeks to get a return on my investment, I'm willing to take that chance because I know it will have a great return and that money will accumulate for me to purchase other things. And our group of people, when we get our profits, can pool a percentage of that profit together and purchase a whole community, a whole neighborhood. I don't know, just even purchase property and build our own store. I mean, the what you call it, what else is, I forgot the word, the amount of things that you can do is so vast when you can pull together. And I asked my daughter, what is wrong with us as black people that we do not see this? What is wrong? And I had to say all that because she told me to say what I said out there before I came in here to do this. It was long. So
The first thing that I believe is probably gonna be out of order. The first thing I said.
Wait, pause. Warning: my daughter most of the time does not have a filter, so please do not get offended when she talks. Okay.
The first thing I said from me personally experiencing living as a black person all my life, you can't really change your race like that. And I always went to schools that weren't mainly black predominant. It was my first year last year going to a black predominant school, so I always experienced other races. And I would see that they're not as emotional or like reactive emotional as most other black people. And black people have trust issues, and like over the years you could kind of see where they come from, but black people have trust issues. And from the example that my mother gave, it might be like harder for some people to understand because some people never owned a house or they never dealt in that side of business or whatever. So like I said, what if like these people, a group of friends, you and your friends got into an apartment, one of your friends is a doctor, the other one works at the corner store. And it's a nice apartment and all of you guys chip in 5%. Of course the person who is a doctor has a lot more because they make a lot more money, and the person who's at the corner works at the corner store doesn't have that much to chip in. So all the bills get paid, and if you have excess money, like put it into a account, and like that might seem like that's stepping out of bounds and you won't trust somebody to do that. Like as soon as you feel like something wrong, just check the account. Like what is the person gonna do? No. And the thing about my mother said, a lot of black people, I realize that they don't look into the future very much because we always worried about it now, right now, what's going on right now.
Wait, so what are you saying? That we like instant gratification? Is that what you're saying?
That and the fact that we typically had to worry about today. Because if something happened, it would mess up the rest of our days. Like, let's say a richer person doesn't need to worry about today as much because they have something to fall back on if something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Black people have so many trust issues and don't trust as much people and ready to stab each other in the back, causing other people to get trust issues. And some people do it without even noticing because it became out of habit, because they learned it from their parents and their parents learned it from their parents because they don't trust other people like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I lost track of what I was saying.
Yeah, about the example I gave where a lot of us come together to purchase a property, build a condo.
Oh, the thing about that is that we don't trust each other enough to actually, and black people get jealous way too quick. You would see like a Caucasian, use them as an example. If a Caucasian person in a relationship, black person in a relationship, the African American female, this is not to be racist or anything, but it's shown that most of them are more jealous of the male because the male is typically not in the household. That's when the whole thing came on, and then they stereotype the male, and it's not, like, it's bad to stereotype, but you really get what females be coming from because most of them have a history and all that extraness. But like the thing is that even though you put in whatever $5, you know that you're gonna get out $15, and the person might get out $10 million, but you gotta understand that you only put in $5.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about it, the next time you invest, you're gonna get $30.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next time you invest, you might get $120.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna climb up the board, and then you're gonna end up helping another person at the bottom. And by then, you gotta remember where you came from and not get too big-headed, because that's what happens when a higher up person helps a person at the bottom grow up the leaderboard. The person gets to the top and they completely forget, and they like, oh, I did this by myself. It was my intelligence and understanding that helped me get this far. And then you end up leaving everybody else in the trash because you have trust issues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. you're gonna make it to the top if you guys work together. And if you don't trust somebody, then make them sign a contract. I don't. I got nothing else to tell you. Sue them.
Well, you have to sign, even though you're with friends with someone. I've learned from experience, you have to have a contract. It feels uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. It feels uncomfortable to have a contract with friends. Like, let's say you're trying to open a business and all the friends are trying to work together. It's best to have a contract in the beginning, no matter how uncomfortable it is, because you do not know what's gonna happen in the future.
And another thing is when my mother was talking about Africa, and I never. It's more so that I don't like not more so. It's not like I don't like Africa. I don't like most people. I love everybody, yeah, but I don't like most people in most countries because 99% of them always are built and founded on something corrupt, or it was founded on good ground, and then it got corrupt over time. Wasted my time trying to worry about other people's stuff when I'm trying to get whatever. So I just got out of AP World History. I know I wasn't sucking up all the information, but one thing I know, the trade system, the slave trade system that happened near the beginning of America, before America really existed, and we were still the colonies for Britain. And during that time, Britain went to Africa. Africa sent slaves to America, and America sent natives because they couldn't enslave the natives because the natives knew the grounds, and the natives always got away. So they took the natives, locked them up, and then sent them to Britain to be slaves there. And this happened a lot, and since America could grow certain things, Africa could grow certain things, Britain just negotiated the whole thing, but they still benefited from it. Everybody was working off of each other. And the thing about Africa is, my mother was talking about when the Asian people came to Africa and told the people, and they would kill anyone that disagree and take their land or whatever. So what happened back then, and this is a big reason why slavery was so bad back then and why it worked so well, slave thrived very well back then, is because in those countries where slaves were taken from, primarily Africa, what the government there would do is that they would take anybody that didn't pay, or their enemies' land or whatever, and they would kill them, or they would send them onto the ships to be slaves, send them to America, and then they would get whatever they had from Britain, and they will get protection and all that stuff. Because we are so ready to throw each other under the bus.
But wait, that's what I saw in the video. The people that's coming, that's going now. Why did I say coming? I'm not in Africa. I'm in America. People, I'm in America. The people that are going to Africa to purchase the land, they are buying out the politicians who are Africans, and that politicians who are Africans have African people who work for them, who get paid by them to kill the people who are also African to get their land. So you have Africans against Africans, and in the end, all Africans gonna be enslaved and be subjective to the person that's coming in. And I'm like, how do these politicians in Africa not see this? I know they cannot be that dumb to not see the outcome of what they're doing. They can't be that dumb. They can't be that slow. Because they're politicians. I'm not a politician. I'm a simple person. And I can see that coming. So it doesn't make any sense to me. And I see the same thing in America. We have Americans against Americans. How in the world can a country thrive when everybody is against the next person? It doesn't make any sense to me.
And another thing, I feel like if black people learn to work together, sooner or later we're gonna be able to learn to work together with other nations and other races. And some people believe that there's no race, but I'm just saying race to have some differentiation, whatever the word is, differentiation, mommy.
Differentiation. I understand what you're saying.
But
There is only one race, and it's called the human race. The only thing that's different is our skin colors. And I see skin color. And all the skin colors are amazing. All of them have their different attributes. That's what made it so wonderful. It's like the rainbow. You know why the rainbow is so beautiful? Not only because God put the rainbow to remind us that He's not going to flood the whole earth again, but also because the rainbow has a lot of colors. That's like the humans, the human race. We're only one race, humans. And our diversity is one of our strongest things. We're all good at different things. Can you imagine if we come together?
And like good at different things, that reminds me of China, because AP World History again. Shout out to Mr. Mathos. China back then, long time ago, don't ask me the year, don't remember. They made champa rice, whatever it's called. And that's how I knew that China was very good at cultivating land. They identified it and they realized that champa rice was able to grow all year round. This is what kicked China off, because they were able to trade it and it was very hearty, so it filled people's stomachs, especially the poor. And that's why rice is such a big thing in Asian culture now, because it was kicked off the whole country for them. And I understand why the Asian people didn't want to tell the Africans, because some reason countries automatically think that they're against each other. So they probably wanted to keep their cultivation secrets to themselves.
No, because they're going under a false precept in Africa and telling them, oh, we know how to cultivate your land. Why do you need to purchase my land to teach me how to cultivate it? Why can't we trade, barter? Okay, if you know that you're dealing with a poor nation that don't have the money, but they have the resources, you can barter. Bartering is still an accepted form of trade. If I know that you know how to cook amazingly and I have money and I want your food, wouldn't it make sense for me, because since I have so much money and you know how to cook, you teach me to cook and I give you money? Or let's say I know how to build houses and you know how to cook, and then we work together. I build the restaurant, you cook the food, we both profit. I don't understand. It's not that difficult. I don't understand why we make it so difficult, like it's rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's not. It's simple. It's simple.
And this is where trust issues for African American people or black people in general, because not every black person is African American. Some of them are Pacific Islanders. Some of them come from Africa. That's it. They're not really American yet. We have such bad trust issues, and that's when trust issues come at it again. Because my goodness, my mind.
That's why I don't do a lot of videos, because Just talking make me cough. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. I would think it was in New Orleans when I don't remember what it was called, but the black neighborhood that was thriving in America and became one of the largest um, African American founded during the Renaissance, and after it got bombed, like a lot of black people like, oh, we can't come together because that's gonna happen again. You don't know until you step out because it only happened once in history. Yeah, it was a bad time. It's a lot like, what another thing that happened.
You know what? When you said that, you know what that reminded me of? I was looking up a person that's a billionaire, and I did not even know all the stuff they owned or all the stuff they had at what they call it um Jesus, I don't know why my brain is going blank tonight. They had a cut. I'm just gonna say a cut because I can't remember the word. They had a cut of the company or a percentage of the company. Because do you know why? Because they did it in the background. Can you imagine if we as a people, black people I'm talking about, come together in the background, those same secret rooms that y'all keep talking about with that a lot of politicians have these secret places they meet. Can you imagine if we as black people have those same secret places? Rich and poor come together to just go and purchase property, start a LLC, a limited liability corporation, name it, and then go and purchase property under that name. Nobody has to know what's going on in the background. Because I had to look up, I forgot now because I don't really focus on what other people own because I got my own life to think about. But I had to look up all the stuff that Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player who used to play basketball, I had to look up all the stuff that he has that he has a cut in. I say cut because the word the word comes and then it's gone out my mind again. That he has a cut in, and he don't blast it. He don't announce it. We are now purchasing. No. You do those things in the background.
And don't he have like a small stock out of them?
Yes, he does. He has shares out of those companies. Can you imagine if we did that in the background? Can you imagine if you just go with this LLC, do one LLC to purchase a property to build a condo, the profits from that, do another LLC to purchase a whole neighborhood and build it back up? Can you imagine if you start another LLC because you had to protect the company? You're not going to do it all in the same company. Can you imagine by the time people look around 10, 20 years later, people look like, wait, who owned all this stuff? It's literally the same people that own everything. Can you imagine? I try to get people to understand the magnitude of people working together as one. Because like I said, I've experienced firsthand myself when people do not work together as one. It is very detrimental for everyone. And now I'm be able to experience people that are working together. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. I've seen people who don't make a lot of money able to save money, and instead of living paycheck to paycheck, can put money on the side to invest in the stock market. I'm talking about a person that's in the poverty level that makes under $25,000 a year. And I talk to God. I'm like, God, I feel so frustrated because I'm telling people this. I'm telling, and people, they want to see the change, but they're not willing to do the work for the change. They want to own a business. They want to do this. They want to do that. But at the same time, out of the same mouth, they're talking about, what about me, 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 me? We understand you need help. But it works because since you don't have everything it needs that's required for what we're trying to do, you need other people who has that. And whatever is missing, you need another person that has that. And when all the people come together as one, you get the whole piece of the puzzle. You have all the little pieces. All of us are just little pieces to a larger puzzle. And it gets so frustrating. I do so many political and housing talks because I'm an affordable housing advocate. Because people won't listen, I just discuss it with my daughter. My daughter goes to meetings with me when she doesn't have school. And people are flabbergasted the amount of information and knowledge that she has. Because if people don't listen, if I'm not able to get through people during my lifetime on this earth, because people are just so hard-headed and ignorant, I'm going to let my daughter know so she can educate people. Because it's going to... Because I can't leave this earth with all of these solutions and it just die like that. Because I heard someone said the wealthiest place is the graveyard. The graveyard is the wealthiest place. Because all of those inventions, all of those businesses, all of that is in the graveyard that was never realized. So I have these discussions because I know I'm just passing through this earth. I'm not going to be here forever. So I have these discussions with my daughter because this thing is bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Yes, I go to God and I talk to God about this. And I talk to God about solutions. I talk to God about plans that can be implemented now, to change now, and to change the future. Because I've asked God over and over and over, what is wrong with us? First, what is wrong with blacks? And what is wrong with just the human race? That we cannot work together. What is wrong with Americans that they can't work together? It just doesn't make any sense. We cannot be so blind that we can't see that it's easier for people to work together. We just can't. We can't be that blind now.
And the thing is that a lot of people's mindset is not in the place to actually do anything and work with people because they think it's just them against the world. Well, it's really not. It's just you ran into the wrong people and then you shut yourself off because you believe that everybody's like that. And if that was true, if everybody was like that, that means you're just like them because you're part of everybody. You're still a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize I see people, and I grew up in Overtown, and I've seen a lot of people that are like so smart, but they do such dumb stuff that they don't think that they're smart, and other people don't believe that they're smart. And I've seen, like, for example, so many people um are able to figure out how credit cards work to scam other people. How they're growing their money, but they're wasting it on dumb stuff because they're too busy flexing their money and getting thrown in jail.
You know how many
And
times I went to God about that? I said, God, you are giving me all these solutions to these problems. Give me the money, because apparently the money be wasted on this. The money is being wasted on him. I'm sorry. It's being wasted.
people
After the
find,
war.
people literally find out how bank accounts work. People are able to learn, like, black people are so persuasive that they here literally walk up into a room and they could walk out with everybody's social security number. And if they just focused their brilliance on something else but stabbing other people in the back because you don't trust people when you are literally the reason why other people don't trust
Hmm.
this is why people don't trust black people, because black people think that it's them against the world and they have to fend for themselves.
But now you're going into a different area. Now you're going into an area of accountability, and you know how I keep talking about accountability. People don't want to be accountable for nothing. Every time something happens, this person did that. That person. We sound like little kindergartners. This person did that. That person did that. What did you do? Nothing. Nothing. Like,
Because
really.
I see it so many times. Parents, oh my goodness, parents be coming up in my schools talking about, oh, my child was an angel, sue that person, sue that person. I used to go to this one Hispanic school, and it was in this Hispanic neighborhood.
Don't call name school. Don't call name
I'm
school.
not. And it was a middle school though. And these crackheads of children used to go out there, and what they would do is they would pretend like they're sick and pretend like they're hurt to get people to help them, and they would steal the money from the people, and then they would take drugs out there, and then what they would do is run into traffic, like as soon as the car's coming. It's basically like a game of chicken when two people are running at each other,
Mm.
but the person that's a human being going against a metal object ramming towards them, but cars are now made out of plastic, coming at them, the car's always gonna win. And so many children at that school got ran over, and the parents like always talking about, oh, my child, my baby, oh, that poor child. Another example, let's say two children walking down the sidewalk heading back home from school. One of the children messing around pushed the child fall into the street, a car hit them. Who do you blame? The person that was driving because they didn't stop in time? Let's say the person was drinking, or they were talking on the phone, or looking back because their child in the back seat asking them a question, or they passing them a juice box or something. Do you blame the person who ran them over? Do you blame the child? Okay? Or do you blame the parents that allowed those children that they know play way too much on the way back home from school? And the parents will never get blamed. And you can't blame the parents because that's indirect. It wasn't their fault. But if the parents had enough energy to get up and take care of those children properly, one of their children wouldn't have got ran over. Now that parent doesn't have something on their conscience when they're driving in their car because their child watched another child get splattered on their windshield. All this stuff,
Well,
you don't know who's accountable.
Well, now you open another door. 'Cause you just went from accountability to opening a whole nother door. Now you're going back into housing again, and now you're going into the cost of living. A lot of children are raising themselves because of the high cost of living. A lot of parents have to spend a lot of time at work. and they don't make enough for the cost of living and for childcare. So, a lot of times, children have to raise themselves. And that's one thing I said before the commission board, that the high cost of living is causing children to raise themselves. And that is not a good thing. Children cannot raise themselves, because if children could raise themselves, what's the point of them living with parents?
And
What's
I
the point?
hear another thing about children raising themselves. Children, even though some people would say that I'm very mature for my age, I know that my mind isn't fully mature, and I can't make decisions that other people can make. That's why children who are super smart and they go all the way to college and they graduate from college with a doctorate. That's why that one child who was making ideas for surgery, they didn't let him actually go into the field. One, most people won't trust a child working on them. He's gonna get so many complaints filed against him, and that's gonna mess up his beginning of the career. And two, he hasn't gone through the fundamental things in life yet. Even though he's super smart, emotionally he isn't developed yet. Emotionally, I'm not completely developed yet. I'm only 15. And
Really? Yeah, think about it.
okay. And even though you might think that your child is ready and it's ready for them, they're not. Children are able to grow, take care of themselves. Okay. Some people say that, oh my goodness, humans are so weak. We're literally these meaty flesh sacks walking around, and we take so long to grow in the stomach, and then so long for us to go out on our own. We're like one of the weakest creatures. The reason why we're so weak is because our brain needs to take longer to develop than most other creatures, because most other creatures are purely primal. We have to learn language. We have to learn multiple languages, if that's their thing. Is we have to learn how to bipedal, because most animals don't bipedal. They walk on their hands and feet, even though they're not hands anymore because they walk on them. We have to learn so much stuff, and over the years of all the craziness that happened to us, we have to learn how to fight against it. And we take so long to die that it takes longer for us to adapt to things. That's why we take so long to grow up. And the time that the parents are looking after the children are very fundamental, because back then, back at AP World History again, back then, people didn't really care as much when their children died, is because it was such a common thing, because they let the children learn by trial and error, because that's the way they learned, because they thought it made their children stronger. It doesn't work that way. If you know something, you bestow that knowledge onto the child before they mess their lives up, because nobody's going to learn anything from that. And
Well, apparently we're not learning anything now, because our ancestors were able to come together, and a lot of people talk about the Black Wall Street. I'm not talking about doing a Renaissance from AP World History, not that far back. But
Renaissance, I'm not talking about that Renaissance. I'm talking about the Black Wall Street Renaissance. The Renaissance where they played jazz music, and African American women were able to dance in clubs.
because when I saw the video of certain people from the Black Lives Matter movement talk about white people, if they don't have descendants, to give their houses to black people and take care of them. And we wanting the whole state of Texas. I say we just because I'm black. I don't agree with that, because I'm just letting you know right now. Wanting the whole state of Texas. I'm looking like, wait, our ancestors, will be so upset because they knew how to pull their money together. I looked at the video, and if they needed a bank, you know what everybody did? Pull money together to get a bank in the town. If they needed a store, everyone pull money together, because one person doesn't have it all. And Where do we lose that? Because people that believe in evolution, why didn't we evolve from there? Why are we going backwards? Why we backwards? Why we need somebody to hand something to us when we have all those people out there that's marching on Black Lives Matter? When you find someone that has the same drive as you, even though the person might not have the finance as you, but you are out doing something else. If you're rich, you're doing something else. You're doing something to get the money. So you might not have the time that someone else has. Have another person if the person has that drive, that same goal, come together. They did it in the Black Wall Street. Why are we going backwards that we need people to give stuff to us? You know how many people were out there marching? Do you know how many people? A ridiculously large amount of people in all those different states. Can you imagine the impact? You can move legislation. You can become a lobbyist and be one of those people that put the laws down. Because if your money is in the government, like those other people's money is in the government, you have a pull. I don't know why people don't. I'm looking like, if you know, I'm talking, if you're a Christian, you're going to know what I'm saying right now. If you know that these people serve money, you go after the money. You don't go after something that person, it doesn't make any sense. What type of strategy is that? I'm not a politician. I'm just a simple mom, a simple nonprofit business owner. I'm not even known to most majority of the world. Maybe a handful of people know me. And if I know this, I know that other people out there know this.
That's the thing about rioting and all that stuff, and the, what is it called again? Protest.
Yeah.
That's why I don't agree with violence and all that stuff, but I can't argue with it because so many stuff, like, do you know how many Black people have died at the hand of police? Okay, and not all police officers are bad. Some of them were actually defending themselves, and some of them think that they're on a high horse. That's what happens when they believe that they're above the law. And all this stuff. Do you know how many Black people died? And it literally takes you to force the government for them to actually say something about
protest is required, but you have to do something in the back to hit it where it hurt. You have to hit them with a 1-2, not just the one.
That's why I think things like blackout is really effective, because even though you might be thinking like, oh, blackout is not effective because it's like targeting businesses. And why do you target businesses? Because the government takes a percentage of businesses. We can't actually go after the government physically. We'll get thrown in jail. And most of us don't have money yet because we're not working together to actually make a change yet. So we have to do something now. And stuff like blackout really helps, because if the government isn't getting those percentages because the business not making money, they can't do nothing about that. All they do is lose money. And some people might say the government losing money is hurting us because we use the government money. There's so many things you could do to make your own money.
Wait. You gotta be careful with that. What you're saying, right?
Of course, not rob no banks.
No. See, the thing is, we have a lot of Black people who are bankers. I'm not talking about tellers. I'm talking about actual bankers that do the loans and understand and stuff like that. And we have a lot of people who are Black and investors. If you want to make sure, because the Black dollar do not stay in the Black community for a long time. It does not stay. If you know that you want to make a change and you know that you have black bankers, you know you have black investors, you know you have black financial, whatever they call it, the people that's in the bank, um, you can put a bank together because a lot of people there are black people that work in the government and they know how to patent, they know how to open businesses. Everyone, like I said, every one of us is a piece of a puzzle. Every one of us is a piece of a puzzle. So if you want to do that, you can actually start your own bank. You can have your own bank. You can have your own what you call it contracting business. You can have some other black people have what do you call it uh, what do you call Home Depot and Lowe's
Hardware store.
yeah, hardware. I'm telling you, all these words escaping me. A hardware store. You can hook up with black suppliers. I mean, there are black people everywhere. It is not that hard. I don't know why we feel like it's that hard. And with social media, it's even easier. Because during this pandemic, more people than usual is on social media. Can you imagine if you tell a person, someone has this, someone has that, you tell them, I want to build a bank, I want to build up a neighborhood, da 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 blah, 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 blah. And the person, and it has to be someone that's well known for everyone to see it. It can't be like somebody like me, because nobody knows me. But it has to be someone that's well known. Can you imagine the people tell them to inbox you? Let's get together. Let's meet. So we can start a change. Why we I try to understand humans and it's just I can't understand it. No, I can't.
Remember one of the conversations that you had with somebody else. And it was about getting your car washed. And you were saying something like, I try to help black owned businesses and to go to a black owned established car wash. And you said that most of the black owned established car wash
That I
are
went
so
to. That I went to.
Yeah, that you went to are so ignorant. For example, quick story time. My mommy went there and the man didn't vacuum the third row of the car and he says nobody goes in the third row, why would I clean it? And you wanted to throw the bucket of water that he was using to clean the outside of the car on him. And then that gets you thinking like, oh, why would I go to a black owned business that they don't do their job? And there's literally a Hispanic car wash down the street. And they always work so hard and it almost brings a tear to your eye. Like that was their car that they grew up with from their childhood. They put their back into that car. And the thing is, the person you were talking to said that even though there are bad apples out there, you shouldn't let it spoil the whole lump. That wasn't their words. That's my words. I mean, okay, you have to go out of your way to find a black-owned business and work with them, because that's how you make change. Because you can't go with what's the easiest thing if you're trying to make a change. And like, there's nothing wrong with the Hispanic people that wash your car. Okay, it's just that you're trying to make a certain change, so you have to go after what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had to learn that. I had to learn that by I don't know how many times asking God, what is wrong with us? And I saw a video that lets me know if you find a place that's just disrespectful and do not take care of your property properly, a business, go to another one. Go to another black owned business. Go to another one, until you find the right one. Cause think about it like Walmart or Target. That's not black owned. People go to Walmart, but if they go to a Walmart where it's just the employees are disgruntled,
It's in a black owned neighborhood. Not black owned, but in an African American neighborhood.
The employees are disgruntled, the patrons are disrespectful. You are gonna drive that extra mile to go to a Walmart in a different so I learned to take that extra step with black owned establishments. If I don't like this one, I'm not gonna go to your business just because you're black. I'm sorry, I'm not. If you have to have good customer service. And just because we're trying to support you, that don't mean that you just come anyhow. It don't work that way. Mm-mm.
And I know, like,
No.
some people, like somebody that knows us, might say, "Oh, but you go to Costco and Costco's a Jewish-owned company. Why don't you go to BJ's, which is a black-owned company?" One, don't come after my Costco. I love Costco. I grew up on Costco. I went to Costco. They're so nice to me. Okay. But what you could do is, if you love Costco so much, get a BJ's.
Wait, but there's not that many black owned wholesale grocery places. I have yet to see one. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it.
BJ's is a black owned.
You research that? Cause I never researched it.
I never researched it. That's what people say.
Yeah, I don't go what people say. Cause people say a lot of stuff. I don't use profanity, so anytime I wanna people say a lot of stuff, so I don't. But we do not have black owned, and that's one thing I appreciate about the Jewish culture. And I look at different cultures. I'm a person that studies different things, look at different things, because I learn extremely quick. And that's one thing I appreciate and recognize in the Jewish culture. If something is missing in that culture, best believe they're going to come together and they're going to put that money together to create that thing. Because the money's not going to be leaving that neighborhood in 2 seconds. It's going to be in there for a minute. And I'm like, we can do this, people. We can do this. I'm going to cut this live short because I already know that it should be after midnight by now. And most people are sleeping. Me and my daughter are usually up at this time because we're usually reading the Bible, talking about scripture. We're usually up. So, that's what we're going to be doing after this. But I'm going to let you guys go because, you guys are normal people. Regular people. Regular meaning you actually have a life and you don't want to spend all your time on social media looking at us. And so we're weirdos. So, we're weird. So that's how we stay up at night reading the Bible and talking and stuff like that. And talking about politics. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're closing with,
And one more thing, we're not saying to abandon your beloved Costco for you guys. We're just saying to invest more time in black-owned businesses until we make a change. Then we could start focusing on making everybody work together. But we gotta we gotta fix ourselves before we want to change somebody else.
See that? Now you bring the scriptures into it. How are you gonna clean the splinter out of your brother's eye when you have a whole big old beam in your own eye, blinding you? Look, I added the extra because I'm extra. I added the extra. But have a good night. Have a good night or good morning, everyone.